Hello, everyone. Chip Paul for Chip Talks Podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have a good friend and really special guest, Jennifer Hawkins. Jennifer and her husband, Kent, are really special people. They kind of came onto the scene with the whole medical marijuana movement here in Oklahoma. And Jennifer, I'm sure we'll talk about that. But they have been great advocates for medical marijuana, for natural products. They've been great advocates for natural healing. And I wanted to get Jennifer on to really tell her story here for Women's Health Month because she has such a great story. So welcome to the show, Jennifer. It's a real honor and privilege to have you on.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to kind of start off with your maybe where you were at 10 or 15 years ago, and let's start there as a reference point, and then let's just walk you through right through your journey because it's
absolutely
just so much.
Yes. So my mother at the age of 52 found out she had pancreatic cancer. 28 days later, she passed away. 28 days after diagnosis, she passed away. I was 32 years old, unaware of my health. I had been raising kids and gaining weight for a lot of years, and I was getting very, very heavy. I thought all of my problems were just weight related. I had been told by doctors that back pain, leg pain, arm pain, shoulder pain, all of that, lose some weight, that'll stop happening. Well, I just kept on pushing through. Lost my mom, decided, okay, I can't leave my kids at the age of 52. I want to be the healthiest version of me, and I want to see my grandkids get married and have their babies. I want to be a great grandmother. That's my goal. So I decided, my sister and I and a bunch of friends, we hired a guy to come and do a boot camp with us 5 days a week, 5 mornings a week. We were getting up at 5 o'clock, doing an hour-long boot camp, pulling tractor tires, just like really intense training. I was feeling worse every day, but I'm fat. I was a cigarette smoker at the time. I had quit smoking, but I had smoked for 19 years. So I knew I had a lot of things to overcome. I was going to push through it. If it took me a year, I was going to do it. Then I was the only one in the entire class that didn't lose weight. I actually gained 11 pounds at the end of those 30 days. Oh, it's muscle. It's muscle. It's muscle. That's not what I'm a nutritionist by trade. That is my educational background. I have restaurant dietary management and a lot of food service safety and protection and nutrition. That's my main background. So I knew that everything that I was doing, I should be losing weight. I should be losing weight at a very rapid rate. Well, what was happening was I didn't know that I had a mitral valve that was faulty, and it was actually just dumping fluid back into my body. It was not processing. I was causing my heart to beat too fast, and it could not keep up, could not oxygenate my blood properly. I was just swelling. I had went up 2 clothing sizes during this workout, and still everyone just kept telling me that you push through. You're obese. This is why. I was almost 300 pounds when I walked into the ER at 2 a.m. in the morning, thinking I was having a heart attack. And they diagnosed me with cardiac arrest and all different kinds of pulmonary issues, which was not the case. It was a faulty heart valve. Took us a long time to find that out. So fast forward 7 years. During those 7 years, I had developed 7 autoimmune diseases. I was on 21 daily meds. I was on 3 injections daily. I was a three injection a day, insulin dependent diabetic, uncontrolled. It was never controlled the entire 3 years that I was on insulin. It never was controlled a day. Not a single day was it controlled. It was up. It was 300 in 1 hour and 20 in another hour. I mean, it was horrible. So we never in 3 years got my sliding scale for insulin correct. They just kept telling me, change it, do this, do that. And I followed instructions. I was a perfect student. So I then developed non-alcoholic cirrhosis, medication induced. I actually have that diagnosis in my chart, big letters. And walked into I had a specialist, endocrinologist, that had called me in for an appointment, and she thought she had a solution. And they laid me down on a table. I was surrounded by specialists all around me from all over the state, there were different states involved. And the only solution, they had taken a Sharpie and drew my liver, and my liver was protruding up through my skin. You could see it. It was when I laid down, it set up. I couldn't sit up straight because I didn't have any room. They drew with a Sharpie and told me how much of it they were going to go cut off, which was about a quarter. I was in complete and total shock because they had just told me that medication caused this. I didn't do anything. There was nothing I did intentionally to do this. Medication had caused it. My liver was shutting down. It was only operating at 14%, and it weighed approximately 14 pounds at that time, on that day.
Yeah.
And Chip, God told me, get up, get out of there, go. I have something different. There's something different for you. It took me a little while to figure out what that was, but I walked out of that office that day, never went back to another endocrinologist, haven't been back to another one to this day. I was 39 years old when that happened. At the age of 42, started having gallbladder problems. I think I was having gallbladder problems for many years, but I started passing out, ambulance trips to the hospital. Nobody knew what was going on. Everyone assumed it was cardiac because I had the valve problem. So once we got the doctors to understand it was not cardiac every time, that's the only thing they ever would check, was cardiac. Finally, I went, and me and a doctor sitting across from each other, I got into a very heated argument with him, and I'm standing up yelling at him, telling me, I need a referral to a surgeon. That's all I need. Stop sending me to everyone else. I need a referral. Somebody's going to cut me open and find out what's going on in me. So I went to a surgeon, the surgeon telling me the whole time, I don't know why I'm doing this. You don't even have any symptoms of gallbladder problems. Nothing. No, there's no sign. There's no test that you have ran, which I had ran every test. No test that shows your gallbladder there's anything wrong with it. I'm literally only doing this because I don't know. I don't know why we're doing this. It's an exploratory surgery. Well, they admit me into the hospital about a week later, go in to do some exploring and planning on to take my gallbladder out. And my gallbladder didn't have stones. My gallbladder had completely calcified. It was a complete stone. So it appeared my body just was operating around it. So on the test, it would just, the tests were just falsified because it looked like a normal operating gallbladder, but it was not. It was a calcified stone. He ended up having to do, of course, then cut me, take the gallbladder out, which in turn, 2 hours after I came back to my room, caused me to have a reaction to the anesthesia. The anesthesia caused me to have my heart valve calcified to about 92%. Yes. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, the mitral valve is what's responsible for the beat of your heart. That is the beat of your heart. That's what you hear in your ears. My valve is now metallic, so I hear a metallic rain on a tin roof sound every time my heart beats. Anyway, so 6 days with the gallbladder surgery. Most people go in and out on the same day. I was in 6 days, very, very sick. They could not even do the heart surgery on me then because I would not have survived the surgery. They gave me 6 or 8 weeks to go get better. I had to just protein. I was on a liquid diet. So ingesting protein on a liquid diet was very challenging. I lived on protein shakes. That's all I did. I just lived anything I could tolerate and drink that had protein in it. That's what I lived on. So went in for heart surgery, but going into heart surgery, I knew during the time between the gallbladder and the heart surgery, I had already decided, because of being on 21 daily meds in the past and having to detox my body off of those myself, I was not going back on pain meds, because part of those meds that I was on, Chip, was I was on 4 different pain meds I had to sign for every month. Very, very high doses, morphine, fentanyl, all of those things. So I wasn't going to go back to that. Thank God I was never a good addict, or I probably would have had a lot worse problems. Because I was an addict to pills for a very long time, but I thought it was the correct thing to do. I didn't know it was the wrong thing to do. So
real quick, let me stop you there real quick, because
yes.
I think it's just what you're saying. I can really kind of drive home a point around what you're saying and what we're seeing now. And this will make a lot of logical sense as I walk you through this. But when someone gets an infection, and what mainly happens, it's mainly hookworm and pinworm infections. But that infection will take root in someone, let's say in their gut. And again, why? We don't know how to work our immune system, but in exactly kind of the way that you're describing. So we'll get an infection, but for you, it sounds like you likely had some microbiome disruption. And with some of these guys, they will change your bile, believe it or not,
Yes.
where it won't work right. And it will cause you to overeat. It will cause you to, just not have that satiety, basically molecule that says, I'm full, I'm full. And you'll crave too. And they do it on purpose because they're trying to, get sugar, kind of make you crave and get whatever. But the thing that they always do is they calcify the gallbladder. And so that's just a big tell on likely.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a part. I mean, I knew they affected, I did not know the calcification was directly.
Yeah. So you likely had this real pathogenic kind of biome for a while, and have been probably in the process of recovering from that, ever since. So yeah. Cool.
Okay. Well, Chip, I had decided before the heart surgery that I wanted a more of a natural pain relief. I experienced RA all of my life. I was diagnosed at 17, but I think I've had it since before I was even, probably when I feel like I had it upon birth because I've always had pain in my hands. Always. I don't remember my hands ever not hurting. So, but I can honestly say that now, I have my zero inflammatory markers because of the changes that I made. I never had that on any medication. Never, ever did I have a zero inflammatory marker, even though that was always the goal, I think, or I assumed it was the goal. But anyway, so after heart surgery, I used cannabis edibles, gummies. And all I did was I just trade milligram for milligram. So if I was needing 10 to 20 milligrams of Lortab, then I would take 10 to 20 milligrams either in a sucker form. I like the suckers because once I kind of felt the pain relief happening, I could stop there and put the sucker down and finish it later, that kind of thing. I was very uneducated in how to dose for pain, but that was my first experience with really using cannabis medicinally to really fix a problem. And it was straight out of heart surgery. Leading up to heart surgery, I researched how to clear my lungs, different plants that I could use to clear my lungs because I knew I was going under. I could have been, potentially I was going to be on a vent, potentially for 10 hours. I only was on a vent for two hours. That was it. I came home 4 days after heart surgery, major open heart surgery, and I was walking a block in a day. That would have not happened had I been on medication. It wouldn't have. I know that because I know what happened to me with medication. I discovered I had a lot of allergies that I didn't know I had that was causing a lot of these problems. So the more that I dove into plants, I realized I knew nothing. I had been literally completely false information given about nutrition along the way. So it all just kind of started kind of tunneling into the same direction. The more I would study plants, all plants, not just cannabis. Cannabis was what started it. But when I ran into you and Cynthia at the Capitol, and then again at the OK For You board meetings and things like that, I was just a sponge because everything I knew about nutrition was being proven wrong by plant knowledge. Yeah. Which changed the way I do, the way that I treat patients nutritionally now, because it's completely different way. So.
Yeah. And so talk about a little bit about kind of what you're doing now. So you have the well, and then you also have done, like, I don't know how many medical marijuana, recommendations you've written, but you guys do that in a little different way. And you might talk a little bit about that, because I think that was really cool. You were one of the first people to do that in Oklahoma, and you did that with a real Christian kind of face. And I think that's an interesting story. And, you've been very successful in helping a lot of people get their cards, and a lot of really sick people who needed their cards quick. Yes. You've been able to help cancer patients and all that. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So I can, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just going to say, let me throw up how to get in touch with you too, on the Facebook, at least while you talk. So there you go.
So Hawkeye Consulting was kind of basically born out of necessity in Northwestern Oklahoma. I didn't know how to get my medical card. This was a few months after legalization. I didn't know how to get mine. Had to go to Norman, sit in a warehouse. It was weird, sketchy, this whole weird thing going on. Some kid in a hoodie in a cubicle wanted my driver's license and money. And, I had no idea what was going on. So I didn't want my aunts and the grandmas that I knew and the older people. My heart is for older people. It always has been. And I'm just thinking, how in the world are people going to get their cards? This is scary. This is not okay. This is scary. So we just kind of got on the website, figured out how that, we can maybe do this ourselves. Just kind of, just a group of us, and just kind of help people. Well, within the first month, we needed to have a company because the requests were coming so fast that, I had a whole room full of volunteers that we would do patient drives like at a hotel, and just lines and lines and lines of people. But yes, we did this with a friendly face and a Christian face. We always had a sign in the beginning that said, "How can we pray for you?" or "What can we pray about?" and had papers that people would write on. They would leave that for us, and we would take that to take those requests of prayer very seriously. We have done patient cards in every county in the state of Oklahoma. We are the only patient services that still go to dispensaries here in northwestern Oklahoma. So that did get a little overcrowded for a while, but people are surprised when they say, "Are you guys? We did this 4 years ago. Are y'all still doing it?" Yep. We have a completely virtual option, or we do still go. We have a couple of dispensaries out here that we still are very close with. Our relationship's really close, and something that we battle with in rural Oklahoma is not having access to great internet, or people just not having the newest iPhone to take a great photo for their cards. And so we just became a company that could really handle any application phase that anyone was in, even if they were stuck. But something that happened through that process and through working with True Medics and all of you guys that were, spearheaded the very beginning of this, we were able to obtain a really great relationship with OMA, with directors, some of their lab guys, their scientists, their marketing people. The folks that handle their veterans. We've just really been able to have a great relationship there, and I think that's probably what puts us in a step above most card companies or upload companies in Oklahoma, because we don't let OMA just give us an answer. We want the right answer, and we want it now, and we will not stop hounding until our patient is taken care of, period. Until the card is in their hand, we will not stop. So that's kind of where we prided ourselves there.
Yeah, and I know you're very well thought of, with OMA. So we've been in some of those same meetings together. Yes. So yeah, so that's really cool. So we have a question, and I think this is a really good question that'll take us, down a pathway that we likely want to go. But Brett is asking, does fasting help reset the body from having those problems? So meaning likely everything that you were talking about before. So you want to talk a little bit about your experience with fasting? Yeah,
100%. Until I really became familiar with CHIP, I think fasting is kind of something we kind of discovered along the same lines, as when we were learning a whole lot about nutrition and plants and things like that. And I can tell you that fasting changed the game so rapidly. I don't even know how to express that more. Like, if you can put a whole bunch of yeses and exclamation points on the screen, that would be the answer to that, because I've done both. I did straight. So the first time I did a reset, I did a 45 days of keto, and I mean hard set keto. Ate every 2 hours. It did wonders for me for about 45 days. I didn't know what to do after that, and it didn't give me a whole lot of long-standing results. In other words, when you stop doing keto, you start having the same problems again. Mm-hmm. Fasting reset it. Fasting stopped things that were happening because I was no longer feeding the problem. The only way that these suckers live is when we feed them what they want. And so when we take that away, there's no way that they can affect us anymore. They don't have that power. We give them all the power they have, 100%. And fasting takes that power away from them. So.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And, fasting is something that's been a part of every single religion since the beginning of time. So it's the, most, if you pulled one thread out of every single religion on earth, it would be fasting. And so that just tells me, I mean, it's super important. It is the thing that we preach, over our, I'd rather have you intermittent fast than be taking our supplements. And that's the wrong business thing to say,
Yes,
but that's the right
yes.
thing really to say for your health. Yeah. And so, intermittent fasting is it's a huge tool. It's not, so anybody out there that's listening that hasn't tried intermittent fasting, it's not a denial at all. So you're not denying yourself food. It's just changing basically your eating behavior to kind of eat in a window rather than all day long. And we find that, and the reason that this is so beneficial is just the way that your mitochondria work. And so, when you eat, you go into a degraded state for around 5 hours. And again, we want to minimize this degraded state that we're in. If you intermittent fast, you're going to be in a very enhanced state, 50 times more powerful. So 50 times more immune system. If you're an athlete, 50 times more performance. If you're a brain surgeon, 50 times more ability, however you want to look at it. But that's the state we want to run in. So eating is very consequential to us. And again, we also run by the sun. It's really interesting when you look at how things express in your body. And we express neuroreceptors at different times to do different work. There's a certain time where you're healing your liver, and so for you, Jennifer, you might have been eating lunch, right on top of the time where your body was supposed to be healing your liver. And if so, your body wasn't healing your liver, your body was working on the food that you ate. Right. So, we just we've got such this almost addictive and poisonous, honestly, relationship with food right now that we all need to break. So we preach it, as I know you do. You've been recently through some fasting experiences. You want to kind of talk about that? I thought that was pretty cool.
So, Chip, I don't know, how long ago was it when we did our first scan? When you scanned me the first time? It's been,
oh gosh, it's been 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
So, and through that, you've scanned me 4 or 5 times. I've had some different things done. I mean, you're the one that I remember you looking at my hands. You're like, oh, let me show you this new tool I have. And you looking at my hands and you look at me, you said, are you in pain?
Yeah, you had RA, signature. In thermal imaging, it's really easy to tell if someone has RA because their fingers will be hotter than their hands. And that really, naturally, you should sort of have a temperature, decrease from your core all the way out to your extremities. So it was easy to see with you that you had RA in a big way, an owie RA.
So I was just like, okay, that was, how do you know that? I mean, in my mind, I was like, that was very quick, diagnostic tool there. So we did the scans. There were some things that came up on my scan that, was concerning. I did some, I did some cleanses. I did some detoxes. I started taking some different supplements. You basically discovered Epstein-Barr with a bioresonance scan. And I started on the KLC right away. And I can promise you, I take that about 3 days a week now. And if I don't, I will have symptoms of menopausal symptoms. So I do know that there is a balance there that I have not 100% got yet, but I'm working. I mean, I know how to calm it down. So I know that eventually I will no longer have to do that. It'll be gone. But something that I really wanted out of the bioresonance was the bioresonance therapy. Well, without having my own machine, I couldn't do the therapies. It wasn't feasible for me to drive to you, even though if we ever ended up in the same town, I'd have been in your office every day. You know that.
Yeah, and just so you know, and this is sort of a thing where I don't really use the therapies, and so and I kind of have reasons for that. I'm glad you're using the therapies because I think can be beneficial.
Yes, well, it definitely did. I mean, I believe with so in December, on one of the scans that I did, it showed some serious problems in my uterus. And it showed, Chip, basically in 2007, I had HPV. I had cervical cancer caused by HPV. That was, I have a diagnosis on my medical record caused by, and it's an HPV lesions on my cervix. They removed 3/4 of my cervix. You're good to go. You have no other, you have an annual PAP every year. You'll be good to go. Make sure you just keep an eye on that. Not one time since 2007 by anyone have I been told you need to pay attention to the HPV. It's not on your cervix anymore because we've taken that out. Okay. But no one told me it could be somewhere else. So between December and February, what I had found out was that I had 3 masses. I had one in my uterus, one in my kidney, and one in my bladder, to the best of my knowledge from reading the reports. The one in my uterus, and all of these, Chip, were HPV, all of them.
And that, so again, if you think that bacteria and viruses and things don't metastasize, they do, just like cancer. So,
yep. The thing that I've been told is you can have a hysterectomy, and I'm like, well, then it goes to breast tissue. Okay, you can have your breast tissue, then it goes to brain tissue.
Yeah.
That's how the travel. That's how HPV. That's the protocol of organ travel. If you don't kill it, okay, or keep it shut up, calm down, and laying dormant. And that's my intention. So I went into this not from a pharmacological or pharmaceutical point of view. I am not saying this is not I'm just telling you what I chose. This is my informed decision that I made based on information that I had gotten on all things that I would need to do to treat this. And hysterectomy. That was it. And then possible chemo or radiation after.
Yeah.
Was what I, okay. Yeah. So I'm on warfarin, Coumadin, because of the heart valve. So we know what happens then when you have surgery. Now we got another whole set of tests and issues and blood work we have to go every day to do to keep my INR, coagulation, in my blood correct, because I don't have to take a blood thinner. I have to take an anticoagulant for the rest of my life because of the metallic heart valve. If I would have chosen a bovine valve, I would not have taken any medication, but they're only good for about 10 years. I was 38. I wanted one that lasted me forever. So based on informed decisions there, I chose to take the pill versus having another guaranteed surgery, possibly 2 more of that type of surgery in my life. So I ended up, where was I at? I don't know where I was at.
You were discussing your heart valve. So the heart valve, the metal heart valve, but also the kind of cancer and the fasting. So you were talking, and it's interesting, it's always interesting in bioresonance how it sort of identifies things and then how things change. But it's cool that it was able to identify those inside of you. And again, these machines are not like you can't diagnose anybody with these machines. They're informational. But this information that Jennifer now had, she was able to now, do what she did to be able to target, those masses, which is cool. Yeah.
Yep. And I did that with a hard fast. We were talking a little bit before the show started. I did 7 days, pretty much the first 7 days, it was straight water. For the next 14 days, I incorporated I have a wonderful friend, Jennifer Thomas. I'll give her a shout out. She has,
hey, Jennifer.
Yeah, great. She's a bestie. I love her. So she actually started, she went on the fast. She did a fast and praying for 14 days with me. Well, actually, I think she went for 30 days. But she was praying over me and fasting for me for my healing. So if you get you a good friend, you need to make sure you get you a good friend like Jennifer, because she's awesome. But she made me and introduced me to some a pretty cool procedure of taking bones from the processor from her cattle and making bone broth and using the bone marrow from the inside and getting that out and using that to make vegetable broth and beef broth base. And she sent me multiple pints of this goodness. And so anytime over the 18 days, the second 18 days, I did broth, mostly only broth. I probably cheated a couple of times, but I was just so set to kill this virus that I'm just not, I really haven't had too many setbacks in the last few months because I'm determined. I want to kill the virus. I know that it's working because something else we haven't talked about yet is antiparasitics. I have done 2 different kinds of antiparasitics. In Europe, they have an awesome protocol, and I use a European protocol for that.
Ivermectin. Yeah. I'm doing that again. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And, and then I incorporated the BRT therapy, which was it's just a different, you can talk a little bit about that probably way more intelligently than I can, but I incorporated that. And the very day that I did is when I saw the first mass leave. And when I say leave, I eliminated 3 masses. I'm not scheduled I'm scheduled this week to have another scan. I'm going to do another scan. I haven't had one since February. But I have eliminated 3 masses visually. I know they're gone. I'm also eliminating the amount of parasites that I had in me. I had 2 different tapeworms. I had a beef and a pork tapeworm. I've eliminated both of those, and I visually saw those. And of course, the scan, the results are showing, okay, that's no longer there. That's no longer there.
yep.
I did a complete parasite cleanse, a 30-day cleanse. And it was pretty much life-changing. I'm not talking about I was in the bathroom on the toilet doing all the things you hear, such horrible things on a cleanse. Nope. I felt crappy for about 2 weeks, and then I can't explain the energy after that.
Oh, yeah.
Once I started eliminating those masses, Chip, I'm just like, wow, you were taking everything from me. You were, no wonder my iron level's bad. My vitamin D, I have none. There's all these things I don't have a deficiency in anymore.
It's when you have pathogens, again, they're little riders, they're eating you. They're basically eating you. They're competing with you for all kinds of resources. Really interesting on your fast. So when we fast, one of the things that we're doing, we're resetting our body, but we're also resetting our fat, like our fat stores. And fat is what we need for energy. So super important, kind of the most important thing that, let's say, a cell needs, because it needs to breathe, it needs to be alive, it needs to run. And so it's got to have fat. But if a cell wants to do work, and cells all want to do work, they want to talk to each other, they want to scream in a crowded room or whatever. And the way that they do that in 2 ways. So via frequency, and they also do that via building proteins. And so they'll build proteins. That's the way they kind of talk to each other. In order to build proteins, they have to have amino acids ready, right around them. So in the extracellular matrix, they need to be able to go and find all the amino acids that they need to be able to build protein to communicate with each other. Turns out bone broth is one of the best sources of amino acids out there. I mean, it's just a very good natural source of amino acids. So interestingly, you were nailing it nutritionally. And that's kind of what you want to do coming off of a fast, is you want to make sure that you're getting all the aminos that you need. And then you want to make sure, as you begin to rebuild your fats, that you're eating the right ratio of omega-3 and omega-6s. And the ratio of omega-3, omega-6s is the most important. Intermittent fasting and O3, O6 ratio are the 2 biggest things that I could ever tell anybody to help you with your health. And they seem so easy. And so, what? Doesn't involve a pill? I don't think I'll do it.
People talk about, well, I like when I come off of a fast, it's hard to eat. It's hard to incorporate, how do I incorporate food back in that? I always start with soups. Everything, I go from broth and then I go to soups, but I'm a soup lover. I will eat vegetable stews. There's all kinds of soups. But something that I noticed, you said something earlier about, it's not a denial. It's not that, oh, I'm fasting, I can't go out to dinner, my family's going tonight or whatever. What I would do is, even when I was on my fast, so not to be in a denial process, for instance, the second week, we went to a Mexican restaurant. It was a family dinner gathering, thing where we were invited to. And, I'm thinking, I can't eat. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, okay, now that's awkward. I don't want to, and I don't want to bring attention to what I'm doing. Like, oh, I'm sorry, people. I'm over here fasting. That's not what it's about either.
Look at me.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I just want guacamole today. I ordered a large guac and a large basket of chips, and I had guac and chips. And I will tell you, it was the best I had felt in so long. It didn't hurt my tummy. It did not make me have, gas or feel like, all these problems that, food generally does. But, and I'm like, as I'm eating it, I'm like hearing you talk about good fats in my head. I'm like, this is why I'm feeling so good. It's because my brain needed this, my organs needed this, my heart, all of it. And, so it was kind of, I had to smile to myself thinking like, okay, you can go out to eat. You just have to make a different choice, but you don't have to deny anything. You can just, and I don't know, guys, when I feel something that makes me feel better, I'm just probably going to go with that option versus, oh, I know I'm going to feel like crap after I eat that, but it's so good. I've just stopped thinking that. And I've stopped speaking that over my food. If I know it's going to make me, I'm just like, I don't want that because it's going to make me feel like crap instead of, oh, I'm just going to eat it, But Chip, I have a friend that has cancer, multiple types of cancer. She's very young. Her doctor tells her oncologist about 3 weeks ago, you eat as much as you can eat. You keep your strength up. She's like, I mean, only thing that's tasting good to me right now is ice cream. And he goes, you eat, if you can eat a gallon at a time, you eat a gallon at a time.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that'll kill that person. So
I was like, you must be getting better.
yeah. Golly.
No.
So and literally, anybody can look this up, but you have these two gears, right? When we eat, we go into low gear, but you have two ways to fight cancer. When you're in normal or high gear, you have no ways to fight cancer when you eat. And so if you eat a lot or eat frequently, no ways to fight cancer. It's going to beat you. Cancer will beat you down here. You might beat cancer up here if you supplement and kind of, use some of the principles that we're talking about, intermittent fast and all that. You will beat cancer up here. And you can do that. A question for you. So I want to know your opinion on this, because I know, you're a Christian, you're a very spiritual person. I know you believe in the Bible with all your heart, but also know that you explore truths, let's say, beyond the Bible. And so I have this innate feeling about all this that really, this whole, demons and hell and, this, how we're, potentially influenced by these outside sources. Those are all the stuff I've got living inside of me. I'm fighting a war against really the pathogens that I have in me that make me more impulsive, that make me more susceptible, that make me weak, that make me, more sin oriented. So what do you think of that?
I think 100%, Chip, now I am a mental health advocate as well. But I'll just give you a little bit of a story here because Mallory, my daughter, very well. And my sweet daughter battled anxiety, depression, horrible things, horrible thoughts, horrible, just feeling like she had experienced things she had, she was in a bad way for a couple of years. The very first bioresonance scan you did on her revealed she had an allergy to grain, not just gluten, but grain. Mm-hmm. There were a couple other things that you suggested that she changed, and the little demons started dying. Okay. When those little demons started dying and eliminating out of her body, the brain fog lifted, her energy level increased. She no longer has bouts of, because with Mallory's anxiety, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm in traffic, I'm anxious. It was wake up out of a deep sleep, vomiting with immediate anxious feelings and thoughts, and just scared. And, me and her husband and her daddy have most mornings of her life for several years had to talk to her in the mornings because she was in a way that she couldn't get out of it. She could not get out of that mental loop. When the little demons left her, when they're dying off, Chip, she doesn't have those issues anymore. She doesn't have that morning anxiety. Now, she could eat bad for 3 days and wake up some of that stuff that's going on and disrupt that gut biome, and the anxiety kind of tries to sneak back in. But she's also been prophesied over by a very good friend of ours, Candy Cantu, that really told her that God had already given her the answer, and she not that she didn't have to have a prayer for healing, but she had already been healed. She needed to go find that. She needed to go see what that looked like. So, going right back to the bioresonance scan to just look at that and say, okay, I literally removed grain and sugar out of my life, 100%. To the point that Mallory, she was only doing her shopping for several months from like Thrive Market, only organic, only. I mean, like very clean, very clean. She would come and scan things at my house and say, you know how much of this it has in it? You need to get this out of your house. You need to get, yeah. So just tweaking a couple of things removed a whole lot of demons out of her life. And I believe that, God has, one of your most famous quotes is, God has the solutions are in nature.
Yeah.
He's already given us.
The cures are in nature. Yeah,
absolutely. And the simple fact that they can literally take over our gut biome, which controls what goes on right here. There's absolutely no doubt that it is a attack from the enemy. It is a direct attack from Satan. It is attack from our powers that be that are not being governed by the right source. So there's my opinion.
No, we're very like-minded that. And, if you look out in society and as you begin to kind of awaken, let's say, and all you guys out there, as you begin to awaken to some of this stuff that, Jennifer and I are seeing and kind of trying to tell you guys about, you'll begin to realize that it's like, wow, almost everything in our society is built so that you drop your shields and get sick with these pathogens. And again, you don't even know you've got them, hook-rounded pinworm, pylori. It's really hard to know that you've got them. But once you have them, man, I've kind of got you. You're going to be weak. You're going to be impulsive. You're going to be easy to manipulate. You're going to be easy to herd, like the sheep that they think that we are. And I think that we're all beginning to wake up to this and, find our strength, find our connection back to God. And, if you look at how I can scrub you clean right now. So how can I get rid of all these, let's say, demons or pathogens or whatever the hell you want to call them, 222 nanometers of light that comes to us from the sun of God, arguably. And, it's so that's where it's very hard. And you and I kind of deal with the same, let's say, issues when we're seeing people, we're talking to people, we're trying to help people. And we, it's hard to know exactly how to kill these bugs, how to knock them back. We're making progress all the time. You're making progress. We're making progress. But there's always, every day I see something new here that I didn't expect. Every day I learn something new. And I'm sure it's the same for you, but it's, it's like a war, the war of the bugs, and we're in it.
But, Chip, just think about it. Not only do these bugs, these little demons, and I call them little demons all the time, not only do they're just in there doing all the things that they're doing, but they continually cause us to need medication.
Yeah.
They need anti-anxiety meds. How the links between anti-acid pills and Alzheimer's, it blows my mind. And they will just hand those out like candy. So I think, even to piggyback on the bugs being the problem, I think that we are being our brains are being chemically castrated. Where we don't have an opinion for ourselves because, oh my God, no, I can't, no, what if they take that away from me? Yeah. Look what the opioid crisis did to Oklahoma and our little elderly people that had been on them for 15 years. There are a lot of people in a lot worse shape because they jerked that med away from them, but mainly because they had kept them on them for so long. But in saying that, I promise you, for the 11 years I was on hard pharmaceuticals, I didn't make the right decision, not one day. I didn't make my own decision one day. I was not clear-headed ever. And I think that is just a ploy of the enemy that we just got to stay in that sunken state with our shields down. You're right. And, so. Yeah.
And so it's, I feel like we're spiritual warriors. So, in some ways. And, I also figure, we're kind of uncovering, I think, this deeper story about who we are as really beings and how we can live with nature and how we should live with nature and how that brings us closer to God and, all that stuff. So all that's coming attractions, I think, so we're kind of getting that slowly. But Jennifer, so how can people find you? You have the well nutritional services in Leedy. I'm sure that if I'm in Clinton, right, it's not that far away. So tell me about the well, how I find you.
Okay, so we're pretty much halfway between Elk City and Woodward, in a little small town in northwestern Oklahoma called Leedy. If you play baseball or softball, you probably know where Leedy is. You probably played them play in a state tournament somewhere. So that's kind of their claim to fame. We are on the corner of 4th and Main. 400 South Main is our offices. We have Hawkeye Consulting, the Well Nutrition are both located here. We have our newly formed clinic that I'm in today. That is up and running. We have a couple of minor things that we're still waiting on, but we're up and running there. And so we do appointments any day of the week and pretty much any hour of the day if we customize to whatever anyone needs. So the Well Nutrition is open from 7 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you can get lots of nutritional advice and meal prepping and planning and things like that there. And we offer a lot of meal replacements is what we call them. And we're just kind of incorporating a lot of different options for people in our small community. So
that is so awesome. And I just, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing to your community. It's, people like us with knowledge have to get it out there to people who need it. And, and it's teaching people about diet, fasting is just, so important. So thank you for what you do. And this is a pretty good place to leave it. We went a little long. I expected that we would, but that's good. So it's a good place to leave it. Is there anything that we missed that you want to get out there, or are we good?
Nope, I think we're good. I think I just want to encourage everyone to continue to follow you guys. The information that you put out on your podcast and all of your social media is I forward stuff all the time about different things on your YouTube channel. So I just want to encourage everyone if you're looking for a supplement, diagnostic and supplement company, that you need to go see them guys, because Chip, you guys have changed my life. I mean, without your knowledge and helping me along this journey, I wouldn't have been able to be as successful as quickly. So you need to find you a Chip and a Cindy.
Well, thank you. And if you want to, if you're looking for, let's say, True Medics products, Jennifer is an affiliate, and I think Cindy posted her link down in the thing. So use that link, and that'll help Jennifer, and that helps us. So best way to help any people like Jennifer or us is to support us. It's not easy what we do. And Jennifer, I'm sure, has similar stories that I do, and kind of being the tip of the spear is never easy, never profitable, so we always can use help and support. We know we got your love always, though.
Completely.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, Jennifer. This has been great. So we'll hang on for a second. So after we kind of end the stream. So see you guys later.